So hello, everyone. I'm Shari Bielert, Chair of Civil Engineering Technology at Red River College Polytechnic. Years ago, I was involved with CAGBC's Manitoba chapter and then indirectly with sustainable buildings afterwards as things got crazy over here at Red River. And I'm so pleased to be back in the fold of sustainable building. So thanks for having me. In a number of discussions I've been involved with related to climate resiliency and code changes and all of that, it continually circles around training. So I'm here to explain how Red River delivers and works with Manitoba to help in all of these different areas. What I'm going to do is go to the absolute basics of how and what we offer so that it can inspire new ways of thinking of how we can help different sectors, organizations, companies, and individuals. So just bear with me, and then I'm going to race through all of this. And if you've got questions, I'll be happy to answer them afterwards. So first of all, we've had a name change, Red River College Polytechnic. We do refer to ourselves as the college. But what does Polytechnic mean? It's the global descriptor of institutions that focus on strategic workforce development. So we go from hands-on, training to combined levels of deep theoretical and conceptual ideas and academic training. We have flexibility.
Were you trying to share your screen? Sorry.
Yeah.
I know that you wanted to. You didn't successfully do that yet. Sorry.
Oh, no. I'm going through my slides here. Interesting. Thanks for calling that out.
No problem. The power of body language. I could tell you were switching a slide and I was like, I don't think she shared it yet. Here we go.
There. Okay. All right. So, as I said, I'm going to go to the beginning of what a Polytechnic was. We've got flexibility with our training and industry driven, and it is responding to labor market or even the community. So in this particular case with code training and climate resiliency. And a lot of this is also focused with research in mind. So I'll touch on that a later slide. So what do we offer? We offer full programs and apprenticeship. We have post-grad programs. We've got continuing ed, and then we've got technology solutions for the workplace, corporate solutions, and micro-credentials. So all of these go from individual training to upskilling and reskilling and supporting Manitoba wherever they need it. So deeper dive into each of these full-time programs and apprenticeship. Jeremy is going to talk more about apprenticeship, but we're guided by Apprenticeship Manitoba and offer what we can for the multiple levels of each of those particular trades. So with full programs, and we don't say day programs anymore because we have online weekends, evenings, day offerings for a lot of different courses and programs. So we're now talking about full programs from first course to a particular credential. And the credentials we offer are certificates, applied certificates, diplomas, advanced diplomas, and actually some degrees as well. The college full programs are also endorsed and driven by industry. We regularly talk to them and see what they need and update accordingly. We also have incorporated work integrated learning, co-ops, practicums, and job shadowing so that students know what they're getting into before they even graduate. Some of the courses that are offered or tie into sustainable building and clean tech that would fall under full programs and apprenticeship are the Architectural Engineering Technology Program, the Architectural Technology Program, Construction Management bachelor degree, electrician, carpentry, plumbing, just to name a few, electrical, electronic, and instrumentation control engineering technology, and mechanical engineering technology. And then we have post-grad programs, which take the training one step further. It is actually taking someone who's had some post-secondary education and giving them additional training in a particular specialization. We all heard about the needs for COVID testing and healthcare aid, supplemental training during the pandemic. That's more on the micro-credential approach, and I'll talk about that. But some of those, when stacked together, become a post-grad program. Okay. We also have continuing education, which is offered in person, online, or a combination of all of that, and it is very blended. So examples of that, of programs within continuing ed, are project management, design drafting technician, and then one of our latest ones, transportation, logistics, and supply chain management. But we're also looking at other ways of providing programming in that manner. Two ways that we can address industry directly is through our corporate solutions department, as well as technology solutions for the workplace. That is actually under my department with civil engineering technology. In both cases, we work with industry on particular training. Corporate solutions supports specific organizations and provides them with upskilling and dedicated training that's required by an organization itself. Some of the examples there, unrelated to sustainable building, but interesting in my perspective. We have a 4 Seasons of Reconciliation, which was an internal training for our staff and then for our students, but now we're offering it to our industry partners as well to understand more about reconciliation in preparation for open minds and inclusive work environments. But we also have the Energy Advisor program that Corporate Solutions assisted BTAC with. And another example was a corporate specific training for Revit and BIM modeling. As for technology solutions for the workplace, we've been working with a number of organizations, and there's representation throughout today's attendees. We do code training for the new codes, for existing codes in preparation for inspectors, as well as designers that need to design to the code. But also we're in preparation for the upcoming updates, as well as looking at how we can support energy code training with Sustainable Manitoba, or Sustainable Buildings Manitoba, Manitoba Climate Resiliency training, and with engineering geoscientists and of Manitoba. All right, let's go to the next slide here. So I mentioned micro credentials, and that's part of what the Energy Advisor is. It's a set of small courses stacked together to demonstrate a huge important credential that's very specific in training. These credentials demonstrate and verify a mastery of that skill or competence. It provides immediate response to an industry need, and it is unique offerings that might supplement but does not compete with other courses provided by the college. Examples were the BTAC Energy Advisor. Can I say that any more times? The Building Envelope Science credential, intro to electric vehicles, and electric vehicle communication and computer systems are some of the actual micro-credentials that have been offered currently. So that's the training part of it. What we're finding right now is we need to address new challenges and new situations. And in order to provide that resiliency and have students that are future ready, we need to understand our current situation and the challenges that we face and put those together with industry and have a good conversation in order to make sure we have the training so that they are resilient and ready for the future. So what is our situation right now? We've got low enrollment in post-secondary, not just at the college, but across the province, across the country. We have high labor demands in the workforce. And what's really bizarre is that normally one is high and the other one is also high enrollment, or I should say, usually it's one or the other. You have high enrollment and problems with labor market. Nobody's got jobs, or everybody's getting jobs and we have low enrollment. This is not going the way I wanted, folks. When one's high, one's low. Anyway, I'll leave that one alone, but it's an oddity that we don't have people in the workforce or at the college is what I'm trying to say. It's an odd year. But what we can do with that is we can supplement our future ready scenario with the research capacity with industry and make people aware that we do have the ability to solve the questions of how do we prepare ourselves for climate change? How do we prepare ourselves to address the needs of determining what tiers we can accomplish here in the province? We have funding organizations like MyTax and other grant sources to help us with that. And then we have BTAC, Building Efficiency Technology Access Center, as well as TACAM, which is the Technology Access Center for Aviation and Manufacturing. And then all of the engineering technology programs that I mentioned before, all of them have applied research components to their programs. So you will have a 6-month project with students to provide them with a question and you get an answer. The other things that we have is the flexible education. We now have more opportunities. Thanks to the pandemic, we have online delivery and blended learning, as well as the on-campus. So that helps. What we also have as a situation is financial constraints. That seems to come up all the time. Tuition caps, government funding restrictions, low enrollment, economy constraints, lower wages, and problematic taxes. So all of those push to create greater challenges. And all of that together has us facing the challenges of code changes, climate change, possibly a government change, and then a whole bunch of technology that keeps changing or new stuff is emerging. So all of these things create such a pressure that all I can imagine is that we are now about to have an amazing diamond, because after a lot of pressure, anything can turn into a gorgeous gem. So working together, we can make that happen. And that's my presentation. I can stop sharing now.
All right, thank you so much. So We're adding Jeremy now to hear from him on his perspectives on training in Manitoba. Thank you, Shari.
Awesome. Well, here's an example of some of the work that we do out in the field as insulators. I just wanted to pause and freeze frame in an industrial format there before we get ready and going into it. The agenda today, first off, I'd like to do the introduction. So hi, everyone. My name is Jeremy Carlson. I serve as the president and training coordinator at Insulators Local 99. I'm also a term instructor for the last 10 years at Red River College for the heat and frost insulator trade. I've obtained my red seal in the trade over a decade ago. I'm here to speak to you about a few things, specifically a brief overview of the green trade of insulator heat and frost, how greenhouse gases reductions are achieved through the green trade, a little bit about our apprenticeship training avenues, and then a period of questions and answers. So overview of the green building trade. The insulator heat and frost trade has been green since 1903, which was typically even before green was a thing. Mechanical insulation, unfortunately, is always mistaken as the trade that puts the pink stuff in the walls of buildings. I'm here to resoundingly notify you that while the latter is useful, it is not mechanical insulation. Mechanical insulation refers to the application of insulation on piping, ducts, boilers, furnaces, and other parts of mechanical systems such as the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. Buildings and the construction process are major contributors to energy use and greenhouse gas emissions. Canada's emissions per capita are among the highest globally. Approximately 18% can be directly and indirectly attributed to buildings, commercial buildings. So approximately 18% of greenhouse gas emissions can be directly and indirectly attributed to commercial buildings. Improving the energy efficiency of buildings is essential for Manitoba to reduce its carbon footprint. Mechanical insulation is commonly overlooked by building managers and construction industry. When cost-saving measures are to be taken on projects, one of the first things cut is mechanical insulation. I think they call that value-added engineering sometimes. When mechanical insulation is done correctly and by trained professionals, mechanical insulation reduces thermal losses from these systems, thereby reducing energy use and greenhouse gas emissions. So achieving greenhouse gas emissions, reduction goals can be attained through multiple methods. So let's go through some that have already been done. For example, the US Department of Energy's Save Energy Now program has helped numerous major industrial and commercial facilities to benefit from upgrading mechanical insulation. Example of industrial, through this program, Goodyear Tire found that one of its plants was losing about 1,500 pounds per hour of steam due to improper insulation. Insulating their process piping equipment to reduce steam demand has lowered energy consumption significantly and produced annual cost savings of around $400,000. Example of commercial work has been referenced already with helping reduce the 18% greenhouse gas emissions that are released by commercial buildings. Mechanical insulation can improve the energy efficiency of buildings significantly at a relatively low upfront cost. Mechanical insulation has been referred to as the 1% solution, as that is the average upfront cost for a new commercial building to have properly applied insulation. For instance, a school's average buyback is less than 2 years on mechanical insulation. And a quality mechanical insulation installed by trained Red Seal professional can last upwards of 20 years, thus resulting in a minimum of 18 years of profit. If you are an entity that is looking for ways to reduce your greenhouse gases by showing comparisons from bare piping and fittings versus desired thickness of pipe insulation. What I mean by this is I could show respectively offsetting amounts of greenhouse gases like British thermal units, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen oxides, and as well as for yearly costs of energy to operate. So by energy costs, I mean things like electricity or the natural gas usage required for heating sources. So what does that all mean, Jeremy? Good question. In other words, I'll put it in a really nice spreadsheet for you, and I'll show you a bare pipe and how much you can save on reducing greenhouse gas emissions and the cost of operating that run of pipe versus the bare pipe versus, say, a 2-inch insulation applied around the outside of the pipe. And I could show you the cost differences. And when I do that, you would be probably very satisfied with the results. There's massive savings to be had. And we usually go in and do a insulation energy audit. And there could be hundreds of line items that we find through the process of using highly sophisticated formulas and programs and FLIR imaging guns. So the results will surprise you from what the spreadsheet will show you. This can all be obtained by a trained and certified insulation energy appraiser. You'll have to look no further than Local 99. On the last slide, there is my contact information. And I encourage you to reach out to me because together we can help save money and the environment here in Manitoba. This brings me to apprenticeship training. I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about something I like to call market saturation, which refers to the number of workers required to fill the demand of jobs. Larger trades like plumbers, electricians, and carpenters have a bigger pool of workers to draw from, where the insulators have not reached a point of saturation. This means that if someone is looking for a trade with lots of work to be had in the future, then look no further than the green trade of insulator heat and frost. And apprentices and journey people are in high demand nationwide. A busy next few years is forecasted, specifically in the commercial and institutional sectors and retrofitting. There's 2 branches that are available for an apprentice. You can receive your apprenticeship through Red River College. There's 4 levels of apprenticeship. The first level is 6 weeks in length, and the second, third, and fourth are all 5 weeks in length for a total of 21 weeks of training. And we could also receive, currently in level 1 apprenticeship accreditation is sitting in the hands of Apprenticeship Manitoba for approval of accreditation for a pre-employment program over at Manitoba Building Trades Institute. So there is a 17-week pre-employment program that is almost ready to get off the ground. We're just waiting on the approval of the accreditation. Sorry. Which leads me to the last slide I have. It is through excellent connections like these provided by Sustainable Building Manitoba that give a platform to communicate with other like-minded entities that all might be working on a similar goals, but would have never crossed paths. More than one entity working together to reduce the overall usage of energy and greenhouse gases released in the atmosphere in the province of Manitoba is a win-win for everyone. I hope to see you all March 30th for the in-person action planning session, and kind of open to questions.
All right, that's great. Thank you so much. So we're just adding Shari back. And are there any questions that people have? You can just write them in the chat or raise your hands. And Jeremy, just want to stop sharing so that we can see all of our faces a little bit better.
Yeah, that would be, yeah, awesome.
Oh, and I should turn on my camera. Look at that. All right. So just to get things started, is there, as training is being developed, what would you say is one of the biggest hurdles that we have to overcome as a province in order to get those into place?
Ensuring that we have strong input from industry, having the documentation of proper labor demand and current reporting on that, but also having the funding support. The majority of our full programs have base funding from the government, and at this point they have a limitation on how much they provide, and many a time now, if we have proposals for new programming, it means we need to take from another program that may be existing already, that they're not going to give additional program or additional funds for new programs. It's remove one to make room for another at this point. So that's a bit of a challenge, unless we can have we can design the course for revenue generating or cost recovery, which then means that it is a higher tuition for all participants, and that's a problem as well. Comes down to money, I guess.
I would have to speak on the flip side of that and say that one of the issues we have for not, I guess you're asking, to getting a program up and running is, first off, you need to have the intake of people wanting to come to attend the classes. And with the current wage schedule for a lot of the trades in the province of Manitoba, it's not very attractive for some people to join up and sign up for apprenticeship programs, because we pay a high tax in Manitoba, and you have your neighboring provinces, Saskatchewan and Ontario, paying lower taxes and receiving higher rates for qualified and skilled trades. So how do we retain and attract more apprentices and journey people when the neighboring provinces are have the same issues we have, but they're willing to pay more and give you less taxes on your paycheck? So it's a hard debate. How do you do it?
How indeed, yes, we're hearing about labor shortages across the board, not just in this sector, or not just across the board in this sector, but just generally. So those are some good questions. Is there any other reflections that you have upon how to attract and retain workers beyond what's already been shared?
Well, one thing that I wanted to emphasize as well is with the flexibility and what changes we're making with online delivery and other self-directed approaches, is we have to do that with our full programs, which will take a little while. It's been a multi-year process. And why that's important is right now, anyone who does want to work in the industry, they are working, and they will not want to step away for a full-time program in the future. So we need to be ready with part-time versions of our day program so that they can continue to upskill in the workplace. So.
Well, I think it's a broader question about you were saying of once again, it depends on trying to get people into classes, and unfortunately, with not a whole lot of compulsory trades in the province of Manitoba, it's hard to fill the labor market gap that's there, because you have I think 3 or 4 compulsory trades where you have to be trained as an apprentice to do the work, and all the other trades that aren't compulsory, you technically don't need to go to school to receive your journey person. You just work in the trade for 6 years in the province of Manitoba and you're considered a journey person. Where I always related to how do you say, going to a dentist and opening up your mouth to get the drill inside, and then you ask them, have you been trained to do this? And they tell you no. Are you gonna stay in that chair any longer? Probably not, right? So there's that interesting avenue to think about the fact that maybe we should have some more compulsory trades, or make it so it's not an option to go to apprenticeship. You chose a trade and you should probably see it through to be the best that you can be at the trade that you are getting into. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think so. Okay, well, that's the time that we've allotted for today for this session. So thanks so much, both of you, so much for sharing. It's been really interesting. I think it's so important that we hear from a bunch of different people on the same topic. So really appreciated the perspectives that you brought.